Hello, welcome to my latest podcast episode. I think we're on number 14, and I've got something to show you first. It's this little plant pot holder which I have crocheted, and it hangs on these strands. They're just lines and lines of chains, and then I've double crocheted once into them. Simple as that. I made the pattern up as I went along. I just used the plant pot which is inside here. There you go, like that. Started at the base, increased till I had the right number of stitches, and then I did a round in the back loops only, and then I just kept trying it on the plant pot and increasing when increases were needed. And I've worked the whole thing with yarn unders rather than yarn overs, if you can see that there. I'm hoping the light's better in here. You may have noticed I have changed. I'm in my new craft space, and I've got a smallish medium-sized window there, and the back door is here, and so I've got the door open out into the hall, and the back door, it's not open, but the back door is glass, so it lets in light from both sides, and I think it's lovely. I've got over straight ahead of me, I've got a plain white wall as well, which I am hoping to use for photography and things. I'm still needing to block out some. I've been putting things up on the wall. The green, which is on the other three walls, still shines quite brightly onto the white wall, making it look green, even though it's not. There's definitely no paint showing through on that wall, but it's still, with all the other green, I'm going to get some mirrors as well. I'm going to get a mirror up beside that window, and the mirror should help bounce the white light. But as you can see, it's lovely and light and airy. You can get the window open, the back door open, and get the air coming through. It's a nice space. I've got a garden out there. There's some outhouses of my neighbours, birds. I've got an edible hedge just by the window, and yeah, it's good. So coming back to this one, yeah, I just used buttons. I was going to, my original plan, the reason I put buttons on, my original plan was to put buttonholes in these ties, I suppose you'd call them. But then I thought you would have to get the tension exactly right. They're long. I think it's about 1 meter long. Like in both, yeah. 2 meters, I guess the cables are 2 meters long. And to get the tension exactly the same in them both, or all four, get the button plate holes in the right place, and to get the slack to take up properly, I decided would be really hard. But I still had the idea of buttons in my head, so I just used the buttons to help secure and I guess hide the stitching for joining them on. So that is that. I'm going to pop it down because it's a plant that needs a bit of love. It has been in the bathroom, and yeah, bits have snapped off it, and I don't think it was well cared for in the bathroom. So it's needing, I'm not even sure what it's called. If anyone knows what this is called, let me know. I do like houseplants, but I am definitely not an expert. I don't know much about them. So I do know that it hangs and trails quite nicely, and it's quite a vigorous grower. I've seen it before other places. So I'm hoping, I'll give it some plant food at the weekend there, and I'm hoping with some regular watering, and the spot is by the window, but it is a northeast facing window, so it's not getting huge amounts of direct sunlight. It gets good sunlight in the morning when the sun comes up, that spot. And then in the evening, I guess, if the door's open, it'll get some light coming in from the other side in the evening. So, what will I move on to next? I have been very busy because it's been 3 weeks. So it may look like I've done a lot in 2 weeks, but it's actually been 3 weeks since my last podcast. I did think about squeezing one in last Thursday, but I'd had quite a busy week. We've had some plumbing issues in the house, and the plumber eventually came on Friday there. We had water coming in. We don't know if it's from the roof or if it's from pipes. We thought it might, the initial plumber who came out thought it was from where the extractor fan of our bathroom leaves the house, rain coming in where that kind of joins the roof. Flashing, I think they called it, the technical term. I'm not that clued up on these things, but when they came to fix the kind of the trim around the where the extractor fan comes out like a chimney, you know, on the outside of the house, there were no leaks because they ran a hose from the outside tap up onto the roof and there was nothing coming in there. So it was possibly pipes. We're just having to wait and see if they've tightened the pipes up, because unfortunately the hot water pipes still go up from our bedroom and they go up around the attic and then down through the house. So kind of waiting to see if that has resolved itself or not, because it's not very nice having water coming in. Slightly worrying. However, that was last Friday. It was still kind of going on or hanging over me last Thursday, so I decided to leave. And I had done 2 podcasts in June, so I thought I'll just carry this one into this week and give it a bit longer. Also, there was something that I was sharing last week with my mailing list on Friday, and I was bursting to tell the news on my podcast as well, and I thought if I swing that over into another week, then I can share that news with you, which I will in a bit. I think I want to show and tell something first, because that one, well, it is showy. It is. Oh, I'm rambling. I had not thought out what order I'm going to do things in. Normally, because I'm in a different place, normally I have everything set up on a bench beside me and I have it more or less in the order I want to show, but I've got some things here, and something down here. That's where my hand ended. Let's start with the something down here, which is my big scope. There's the marker straight away. You can see how much I've done on this, slightly more than I would in a 2-week period, just a bit more. Usually I'm about there to there in a 2-week period, so in the extra week I probably haven't 1.5'd it, but almost. I have shown it some love. I have some new colours in it. This top turquoise is new. If I remember rightly, that's Coupnit's socks, yeah. And I love the peachy yellow. I've done that quite a few times throughout. There's peach and, yellow and pink, and then we've got more peachy yellows here. It's clearly a favourite combo of mine at the moment, and you'll see it in another project I'm about to show you. So this one is really growing. I popped it on the sofa just to see how it kind of looked over the back of the sofa, and it's this length. So it's really getting big. It's at least half the size I want it to be, which is good. It's growing. Kind of the trouble is I'm actually beginning to run out of double knitting scraps. So I'm thinking of popping a thing on Instagram about a possible swap. I have a lot of iron weight or 10-ply weight scraps. I'm wondering if anyone has any double knitting scraps that they would be willing to do a little yarn swap package. Just oddments, we're not talking full balls, just oddments. I'm thinking of popping that up on Instagram, and you can send me a comment below if you have double knitting weight scraps. It's all pure wool or near enough. There's some that has a little bit of nylon in it, but it's mostly pure wool. There's some merino, there's some alpaca, there's pure wool, there's some superwash stuff. It's kind of all gone in, and I will just treat it all as wool, and I'll wash it carefully. You can see the ends changes here. I've done a video on YouTube if you're interested in how I've done those, because I will snip that there. But basically, when I've joined in the new colour, I have done one yarn over in the new colour, gone over to the back, tied a knot, and then I have worked all 3 strands. So you've got the new strand, the tail of the new strand, the tail of the old strand. So there's three bits going around the hook every time for a couple of stitches. Let's see this one. This is a good one to see. Can you see how, so as it's worked, it's getting wrapped round and round, and that is not coming out. Not. Especially as it's wool, it will just stick in there and stay together. So there are no ends to weave in on this one, and I'm going to be sharing it as that when I release the pattern, which will be in the autumn. It's getting there. I'm on track with it, and I am really pleased with it. I love the effect. The way it looks kind of blocky and the changing colours randomly, just in the middle of nowhere you suddenly get this change here, and the mix of colours. So I'm going to get it off me because it's quite warm. And I'll have a sup of tea and I'll move on to the next thing. Today I have red bush tea with soya milk, and it's in this lovely vintage Denby mug that I found. I think this one dates back to the 70s. I really like it. It's got just such a 70s vibe to it. It's one of my favourites. Great find of my sister's. It was actually my sister's and she gave it to me at Christmas time. So that was a lovely surprise. Okay, let's stick with blankets, and I'm going to talk about this one. So this I have not shared on the podcast before. It is a square motif, which, let's turn this one around, starts as a star and then goes to a circle and then a square. And this pattern is by Polly Plum, and it's called the How I Wonder Square. I got it on Ravelry. I believe it is available other places too. So yeah, I will put the link to everything I'm talking about in the description. This I started maybe last September time. I started this and I made quite a few of them. I remember working on it when we were doing the October whip along with Laura and Ruth and Nazreen and Hannah. We were working on that in the autumn, and this was one of the things I was trying to do. I think it was 2 of these a week, which I did. So I'll show you some other colours. They're going to be for a big blanket. These have been blocked. I found that the centre needed quite a bit of blocking to get that to sit nicely. And these are all in pure wool, and the scraps of these are mostly what's gone into the one I just showed you. I am going to have all the stars lining up with the point at the top. I think that will look best if they're all facing the same way. So sorry if I pull these out and they are not quite that way, like that one. We've got this one. Oh, one of my favourites. Can you tell I like yellow? I really like yellow at the moment. Yellow is in most of these, although this one has green, but it's almost yellow. Oh, bit of a vintage vibe on this one. I like that ochre colour as well. I'm just going to show you them all. This one makes me think of chocolate. I think it's National Chocolate Day today. This is Thursday, the 7th of July. I think I saw a thing this morning saying it's National Chocolate Day. So anyway, I have not worked on these squares for a wee while. It's just been, I've seen them in my room and I've just looked at them and thought, yeah, I am going to get back to that. It's going to be a big blanket, probably we're talking sort of king size, bed size. And then just a few weeks ago, I saw a pattern by Pam, who is in Australia, and she is Hooks and Hills, I believe, on Instagram. And I saw a pattern by her, which I thought would go really well with that one. I'm going to show you this one. Ta-da! This is unblocked. And I thought that that would go really well with that. And that I could have them alternating on the blanket. So I'll have one of this one, and then back to, obviously not the same colour. It will be a very colourful blanket, and I'm going to mix the 2 motifs. So far I have done 4 of this one. It starts with popcorns in the middle, and then it has these ones that go across and catch up on different front post stitches. So I've done this greeny purple one, and this one, it really changes this one. Like the other one, they both really change depending on the positioning of the colours. I believe this was the first one I did. So it all depends how well this star jumps out, depends on the colour chosen. And then this morning I started this one with yellow. I love this combo. It's got a bit of mutedness and a bit of brights. And overall, I tend to find if I'm working on a blanket like this, I tend to use a neutral colour in each of them somewhere, whether that's a just a sort of beigey or an oatmeal or a brown, a more chocolatey brown. I don't tend to use grey. I tend to find that the grey and the soft browns, for me, with the other colours, I don't like that mix, so I don't tend to use grey. Besides, grey to me is just watered down black, and you know I don't like black. So there's no black in this at all. So I think I have about 15, I haven't counted, I meant to count just before the podcast, 15 of the original squares, and this one is my 5th of this. I'll probably go to something like 7x7, 49, something like that. I don't think I'll go as many as 64, which would be 8x8, but probably 49. Maybe 36, we shall see. 36 or 49. I'm going to have to lay out 6 or 7 side by side and have a look, see how big that is. Yeah, really happy I decided to go with this one. If you have a look, Hooks on Hills Pam has lots of lovely square patterns. She's been designing for about a year. I started following her back then when she started designing, and yeah, some lovely ones. That is the first pattern of hers that I've actually bought, and they are all staying in this bag, which came with my Lucy and Yak dungarees. But I thought, project bag. So I got a wee tin in the bottom, rattling. That's the little Emma ball tin, and that's got my scissors and a darning needle, a couple of stitch markers in there. And now that I know what I'm doing with both squares, I don't need to look at the pattern for either of them. So it's handy just to shove in my bag. If I'm going to craft group or knit and natter, I can just shove them in my bag and crack on with them. Right, I'm going to move on to a ball of wool fell away. I'm going to try and get it back with my foot. There, just got it. View of my neck. I've just wound the second ball of Vicky Brown Designs yarn for the Estival MCAL, which starts tomorrow. Hopefully this podcast will go up tonight, Thursday, and the MCAL starts tomorrow, Friday the 8th. And yeah, the MCAL by the Crochet Project. It is Joanne's Grace, who has designed a shawl using 2 colours. I have gone for these 2 by Vicky Brown Designs, and this is a mix of kids silk, mohair, and kid mohair and silk. I forgot the little label. So I got these from Vicky Brown Designs, and there are 2 other colourways which Joanne has worked on with Vicky, especially for this MCAL. And like I said in the last podcast, the pattern for it is going to be exclusively in the hub, which is the Crochet Project's new space away from socials. It is a membership which has loads packed in it, including patterns. I think there's 2 patterns in there already. The new shawl pattern is going to be released bit by bit over the course of 6 weeks or 7 weeks in the hub. And as well as that though, there are loads of tutorials, there are loads of crochet tips, there's a forum as well. When we start on the shawl, that's going to be great for sharing photos, questions, all that kind of thing. It's already quite active actually, and it's a lovely space to be. And at the moment, with the code HUBINTRO, you can save £3 a month on that membership. It is usually £5 a month, but with HUBINTRO You can get it for just £2 a month, and I will say that I am an affiliate for that, so if you use my link, which I'll put in the description, I do get a small percentage for that. But something, regardless of whether I was an affiliate or not, I would definitely be recommending. I think it's going to be a lovely space. I am looking forward to being over in there and working on this new shawl. The yarn feels absolutely gorgeous. I just wrapped this one, wound it this morning just before the podcast, so I'm ready to go tomorrow, although I'm at my mum's first thing, so it'll probably be the afternoon before I can get started. So yeah, my mum and dad have had COVID. I think that's my mum. My dad was clearer faster than her, and her line has been getting fainter and fainter over the last few days, and I'm sure she will be fine tomorrow. So I'm going to go and see them. I know she's working on a lovely shawl. I've seen pictures of it. It looks really lovely. It's brioche and it's in 2-ply yarn, so it's knitted 2-ply yarn, and yeah, it's going to be a lovely gift for someone, so I'm looking forward to seeing that and catching up with her tomorrow. So I think I can stop fondling these. They're just so soft. Vicky's yarn feels lovely. I've never worked with this kind of yarn before, so I'm curious how it's going to work up and how I get on with it. It might be my new favourite thing, who knows? It certainly feels lovely. And Joanne's tip was definitely to wind yarn like this, kind of either with someone holding out their arms for you or over the back of a chair into a ball, rather than using a yarn winder. She reckoned it often gets tangled. It did stick a few times, but I didn't get in any knots, so far so good. Right, I'm gonna pop them over here. I'll pop them here. Do not fall anyway. Okay, I'm going to talk about my latest design. This was almost finished, or maybe it was just finished last week. I wanted to definitely share it with my newsletter subscribers first, because I do like to give them first dibs on everything. So here's the other side. So this is my design, which I have taken inspiration from a drawing which I asked Katie, who is Katie Birdie Does, over on Instagram. Katie drew a lovely illustration for me with grasses and foxglove, and there's a couple of bees, one prominent bee and one that you have to look for a little bit. And the colours were similar to this, because I then took the illustration and I asked Liv at the Wool Shed to dye me up a skein of yarn based on Katie's colours. And this is what Liv came up with. And I then took that and I sat down, I think it was 2 weeks ago today. I sat down on a Friday afternoon and I had the house to myself. It was great. I had the house to myself. I hardly ever get the house to myself. It just doesn't happen. I have my husband working from home, although he now has a new job, so he's working from home just a couple of days a week actually at the moment. So mostly he is in work, which is a big improvement, because it just gives everyone a bit more space and gives us more internet, because he tended to have at least 3 devices hooked up to the internet when he was working. So it definitely helps with the speed that I can get this podcast up online. Frees up the internet a bit in the house. And I also have 2 teenage sons staying at home. One is currently in Perth, just for a couple of weeks, and the other one is home today, but they are generally, one or the other of the boys is home, so I hardly ever get the house to myself. And it happened last Friday, and I got the cleaning all done. I even cleaned the bathrooms, I hoovered, I tidied up, and I created a lovely, clean, calm space. And then I sat down with no idea how I was going to work this up, and I just created this cuff. And I don't have the drawing to hand, but this is like the grass in the picture, and then to me these bits here are like the individual openings on the foxglove, and then the rest of the sock is quite plain because I really wanted this bit to shine. There's a bit of shaping here, so the heel is a fully formed heel. We've got a gusset decreases here, and then the toe is a rounded toe. So it starts at the cuff. So that was where I started with the cuff, which is a variation on a back loop only cuff. And I am really chuffed with it. So then what I shared with my newsletter people, give me a chance to have a cuppa, was where I'm going next with this. So I've designed this, and it's going to be available as a crochet along. So if you are into crocheting socks, you know, it doesn't matter if you've never tried crocheting socks before. I have made videos to go with this. So there will be step-by-step videos, and I will set up an Instagram group as well. And where was I going with that? So it'll be available as a crochet along, but it will also be available as a kit. And in the kit, there will be the yarn, which I'm ordering from the Wool Shed. So this skein of yarn. There will be the pattern, obviously. There will be a crochet hook, stitch markers, which you need, and a few extras, which I'm keeping hidden up my sleeve. Oh, and the whole thing is going to come in a project bag, which will have the original illustration by Katie on it. So there'll be like a project bag with your yarn, your hook, your stitch markers, and the extras all delivered to you. And I'm at the moment, because this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, I'm going to stop weaving this. It's going to be UK only, I'm afraid. So I'm really sorry if you are outside the UK. Just to keep the logistics of this simple for me on my first one, I'm going to make it UK only. But if it goes well, I do intend to do this again. I'll pick a different illustrator and a different indie yarn dyer and repeat the process. So, and in that case, once I've got used to the whole postage thing, is I only sell my PDFs at the moment. I only sell my PDFs online. So I'm not used to packaging up stuff, labeling, getting them to the post office. That side of things I have, other than when I had my handmade business, which was a bit of a fail 5-6 years ago. Other than that, I don't really have experience of that, so I'm going to just keep it really simple and not give myself too much of a headache with various postage prices, and I will keep it UK only this time round. Okay, so yeah, I shared that with my newsletter subscribers last week, and if you would like to be the first to know more about that, because I share with them step by step kind of where I am on this. If you want to know more about it and to get the biggest discount code when it does come out, you definitely want to jump on my mailing list, and that will be the first link I'll put in my description below. So if you want to go ahead and sign up to that, that would be fab. I'd love to see you over there. I send 2 emails a week, one on a Friday morning, about 7 in the morning, that comes out on a Friday. That's typically a longer email with more, it's a bit more meaty, I suppose, although I'm vegan. It's got more in it, I suppose. And on the Tuesday, it tends to be a quickfire thing that's maybe got a reminder of the month's pattern of the month, or, you know, something like that, quick tip. Something short and sweet on a Tuesday generally, sometimes a Wednesday. It depends. So 2 emails a week, and I would say there's great value in them. There's crochet tips. There are discount codes. I am going to be re-releasing another pattern, which went out free this time last year, and I'm going to re-release it and send it free to my current subscribers, because I know a bunch of them will have changed since last year. And then I'm going to release it elsewhere online, and it will be paid for there. So there will be another free pattern coming very shortly for you. I think there's also 20% off immediately. Upon signing up, you get an automated email with a 20% off discount code for my website. So loads of reasons to sign up. Go sign up, go sign up. And thank you to everyone who does sign up. It's lovely to hear from you. I got quite a bit of feedback when I put out about the sock there. I asked for some feedback from people, what they thought of my idea about it as a kit, and I got lots of lovely positive feedback. So I think when that kit does launch, there are going to be 100. I didn't say that. There will be 100 only, and that'll be it. When they're run out, they have run out. So jump on my mailing list to be first to know when that releases, which will be the end of July. But to know the exact time, etc., you need to be on my mailing list. Right, what else shall I share? I've got 2 more things, I think. I'll finish off with crochet. Sorry, I'll finish off with knitting. So this is still crochet. And this is my pattern of the month. Oh, it does go nicely with that yellow, doesn't it? Purple and yellow. I love purple and yellow. This is my tweed with a twist scarf, which came out in May. I'm pretty sure it came out in May. Maybe it came out in June. I don't know. It came out not that long ago, and I have decided to make it pattern of the month, and it is currently at 15% off with the code July22. So all capital letters, again, I'll put it in the description. July22 gives you 15% off on Ravelry and on my website. So it is a 3-skein scarf worked in Aran weight yarn. I've showed it off here before. I think you can see it better in the light in here though. Can you see the crossed stitches? They are not raised stitches, they're just crossed over each other. And like all my patterns, there are video tutorials for that to keep you right. I'll show you exactly where to work the stitches. I'll try it on. Yeah, you can either just wear it round like that, or we could pop it over, bulk it out. It's got a good length to it. And I just worked the 3 skeins and kept going, allowing a little bit for the border, which is at both ends, and just kept going until I ran out of yarn really with this one to really make the most of the yarn. I used Debbie Bliss Donegal Luxury Tweed, and I think the colour is lavender, although it's quite dark. It's a dark lavender for sure. You're seeing it there in the light, but it's quite a dark colour actually. And yeah, I hope you like that one. So for the whole of July, that one is on special. And then once we get into August, there will be another one on special. So that is the current one though. Just give me more tea, and I've got one more thing to show you. And it's a bit knitting. It's currently, I got the extra balls. You can probably tell what it is. The extra balls are in my Shetland Wool Week bag. I have this one by Jameson and Smith. This is quite an old one. I've had this one a long time in my stash. All of this was stash dived. I have a darker blue, again, Jameson and Smith. And I have 2, which are Uradale yarns, and they are really lovely. These ones are the organic Shetland wool, and they feel so lovely. And the other colour I'm using is this one, and I haven't even showed you what it is. It is, of course, the Bonnie Isle hat by Linda Shearer, which is this year's Shetland Wool Week free pattern. Here we go. Oh, I didn't show you. I did also add in, the pattern only calls for 5 colours, but because I stash dived all of those colours, and because apart from the 2 main colour, all the other colours are started balls, so I decided to just pop in colour 6 for this bit here. Although I was kicking myself for not making it the waves, but hey, never mind. The waves are pink. and I'm on the anchor section here, and it's working out well so far. I did do a whole round wrong. I hadn't realised that the background colour changed and the contrast colour stayed the same for the second last one, and I did that sort of T-bar, if you like. I did that in red, and I kept thinking all the way around, I'm sure that's not right, it doesn't look right, what's wrong with it? And I kept thinking it was just because I'd started a new colour, when in actual fact, once I started the row I've just done, I realised my mistake and had to pull back that round. I'm really good at dealing with the ends, look, they're all sewn in, ta-da-da. Perhaps not. I have done the start. I've sewn in the first few. Yeah, I'm enjoying this one. I'm just working on this in the evening, so I'm not getting too much done on it. A few rounds here, a few rounds there, which is probably why I made that mistake. I was tired. And I've also added in an extra repeat, which is a bit of a maths issue because these two rounds are a 12 stitch repeat, and this new one I've started is a 13 stitch repeat. So I've popped in an increase, I think here, on just before every anchor. I put in worked in the front and the back loop to do an increase, and then when I finish the anchor section, this bit here is repeated in reverse. I will then decrease, and I think that'll work. I don't see there being a problem with that. I just wanted the hat to be a bit bigger, and other than going up another hook size, which would maybe make the yarn a bit gapey, I didn't want to do that. I decided that was my workaround. So that is what where I'm up to. It just fits on 4 needles. 5 would possibly be better, but I know I'll decrease by a load of stitches, 12, 13 stitches, can't remember. Once I have done another couple of rounds, and then it'll be a bit safer. So I'm definitely not carrying this one around with me. It sits very carefully like this. I prefer working double pointeds rather than circulars. It's just the way I do it. So I will very carefully put this one down, and I'll show you, yeah, I've got the pattern there. I'll show you the pattern. I have it printed out here. There we are. So you can get this pattern free on the Shetland Wool Week website. Just look for this free knitting pattern and click on that, and you can download it for free. And it will be available all year, and then just before this time next year there will be another free pattern. So yeah, I think I will go with the pom-pom. Pom-pom's optional, but I think I'll do the pom-pom. So another lovely free pattern. You can see there how it works with this bit here is then repeated up here, and then the top bit is supposed to be like a spinning wheel for the decreases. You can see it around here. So I'm really enjoying that one. It's nice to be doing some knitting. I do like to have one knitting project, just one, on my needles, just because it changes up the muscles you use, and there's just some things that you can do in knitting that to me you can't do in crochet, and I like to be challenged by that as well. I find knitting a bit harder. Crochet definitely comes more naturally to me, so I guess I like the challenge of knitting and doing something different. And I think as well, because I don't design in knitting, knitting gives me, it's definitely more of a hobby, if that makes sense. Crochet, I'm always thinking, oh, I could take this and do this stitch and this, or yeah. Whereas knitting is definitely more just for fun. Although I do quite often copy things like construction. The sock construction that I've just done for that one, other than the cuff starting as a rectangle, but the way I now work my heel in a crocheted sock is very, very similar to how you would work a knitted heel, because I usually have a knitted sock on the needles. So I've switched up for a hat, and I think my next knitting project will be a hat as well. So I might get some ideas from that. No, knitting, definitely a hobby. I think I've shared everything. My new space, the plant. I think that's all my news. So I hope you're well. I hope you are having fun, crocheting, knitting, a bit of sewing maybe, whatever crafts it is you're up to. Leave me a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, that'd be great. I am really trying to build this channel up. There will be more tutorials and things coming soon too on it. So if you subscribe, you'll be first to see them pop up. So thank you. I shall see you again in a couple of weeks.